this is Gina. Today I'm going to show you how to make a really quick and easy necklace and earring set. So I made some little icicle earrings. It has a little silver wire wrapped around it. And I have made a necklace with beading chain and a pendant and just a few crystals and spacer beads. Really simple, really fast, really cute. This is what I'm making for me to wear for my Christmas necklace. I think that the simpler and understated that it is, the more elegant it is. So I've just made a really simple set. I may replace this with this toggle with a lobster claw, but at this point, this is what this looks like. And we're going to go ahead and make the set right now. Okay, so we're going to make a really simple necklace with the beading chain, the pendant that came in the Winter Wonders treasure bag. You can use any pendant you want. You can use anything you want to do this with, so don't feel left out. I'm going to use this pendant. I'm going to use a couple of clamshell tips. I'm going to use 17 inches of beading chain in the silver tone. I'm going to use some size 1 crimp tubes in the silver tone. I'm going to use some of these little gold 3mm round spacer beads that were in the treasure bag. And I've added to it some 6mm bicones that are clear and a couple 4mm bicones. So let's just get started, and I'm going to move some of this stuff out of the way, and we're going to start with putting the pendant on the beading chain. So I have put a 4mm jump ring on the pendant so that it hangs correctly. So you want to add a jump ring to your pendant, and then we're just going to slide the jump ring onto the chain, put the ends of the chain together so that we can center this like this. And then we are going to, oh, I forgot a lamp. Well, I was wondering why it was so dark. There we go. Now we're going to put onto this beading chain, I think we'll go with a couple bicones first. Like 3 bicones. And then 3 bicones on this side. Very simple, very fast. Turns out cute. Okay. 3 on either side. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put on 3 of the spacer beads, just to get a little bit of the gold tone in here, since I have a gold tone pendant with gold tone findings, basically. So I'm going to blend the gold and silver together by adding some of these little spacer beads. And I'm going to have to find a clasp too. I didn't think ahead enough, so I'll do that. But let's just do the necklace. Okay, then I'm going to put a little bicone on each side, so a 4mm on each side. Then I'm going to put my chain ends together. Let me back off just a little here and get coordinated. Now you have to slide your beads because there's quite a few of them on there, so you have to slide them to where it's centered on your chain, just like that. Then I'm going to grab a crimp tube, and I'm going to put one on either side of the chain. So I'm using round crimp tubes, and I'm using a size 1. The lid won't come off. Give me a second here. These lids are stubborn sometimes. Come on. You can do it. All right. I'm going to put out 4. And then I'm going to put one on either side of my chain, and then I'll recenter my chain because it's moving around too much and my necklace will be all off kilter here. Come here. Just get on there. Okay, I'm going to put the two ends together. And it's pretty well centered. So now I'm just going to take my flat nose or chain nose pliers, whatever you have, and just kind of push your beads together so that they're not all over the place, and squish it down. Now you don't want it really tied up against that bead, the last bead. You just want it to be kind of loosely laying there so that you don't squish your beads together too tightly and then you have a really stiff front of your necklace. So I'll do the same thing on this side. I'll go ahead and push it all together to make sure that everything is in the right spot. And then once I've pushed everything together, I'll just kind of back off a little bit and then squeeze my crimp tube and see if I stayed center. So I'll look at the end of my necklace and I'm a little off center. So I'm going to, let me make sure. I'm not too bad, a little bit. And so I'll just clip that down. And then I'm going to grab a end, one of the little clamshell ends, and I'm going to go from the bottom up and slide that on, and I'll do that on both sides. And then I'll grab my little crimp tubes. They're there. And I'll put one at the very end of the chain. So I'm just going to slide this on here. Oops, I knocked my clamshell off that side. Yep, it's going to be a graceful day. I can tell you that right now. So I'm going to get this in close. And I am just going to grab a hold of this little crimp tube, move it to the very end of the chain, leave a tiny bit of chain sticking out, and then crimp it down. And make sure you crimp it down well. And then close your clamshell. So I'm just going to squeeze it shut, make sure the ends are not off. They need to be pretty even. I'm going to squeeze the belly a little bit, and then I'm going to squeeze the top circle. Oops, and I'm completely out of camera. We'll do the other side so you can see. I'm sorry about that. So now I'm going to pick up the clamshell, put it on from the bottom, and let's see if I can rearrange my camera so where I'm working is actually in the camera. It's one of those mornings, guys. I'm just Christmas presents and billing orders and blah blah blah, and I'm just kind of flustered. So sorry. I try to be good. All right, let's pick this end up. Come on, you. Okay, now I'm going to bring this to the end of the chain and squeeze it. Just like that. I'm going to squeeze it one more time just to make sure it's really on there well. Bring my clamshell up, close my clamshell, making sure that both the ends are lined up, and then I'm going to squeeze the belly of the clamshell just gently, and then right above the clamshell belly I'm going to squeeze on that little circle, and then I'm going to squeeze towards the top of it. Now I have it nice and lined up and sealed. Now I am going to grab a clasp. Let's see if I have one close by. If not, I will have to go get one. So let's see what we got. Nope, we don't have one. Oh, of course. Oh, well, I have these gold ones. These will work perfectly. This isn't one in the bag, but no, these are rose gold. Poop. All right, so, aha. I have some. All right, so we're gonna grab this one and this one. I'm gonna do gold at the end because I need another pop of gold. So the gold tone is a little bit different. That's the hard part with gold tones. They're all different colors and it drives me crazy. But for the moment, I'm just going to open a jump ring and I'm going to put it on the end of the clamshell, then put on my clasp and close it and do the same on the other side. I'm using about a 5mm jump ring if you're curious. It doesn't matter. You can use any size you want. And then I'm just going to drop this down. And now I have a necklace. In just a couple of minutes of time, I have put together a really cute little necklace. I'm going to make a pair of earrings also, so let me gather the things and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have designed some little icicle earrings to go with this set. So we are going to be using, with these icicle earrings, a piece of 6-inch wire. This is 20 gauge wire. Now you can use gold or you can use silver. Using the gold shows up a little bit nicer, but because I have my necklace on silver wire or silver chain, I'm going to use silver wire, and then I'm going to pop in my gold with the ear wire and the little spacer beads. So I have 3 spacer beads, and you're going to double this because I'm making just one earring right now. So 3 spacer beads, 3 6mm bicones, 1 4mm bicone, a head pin, and an ear wire. So we're going to start with the 6-inch piece of wire here, and I'm going to go about 1 inch down on the wire, and I'm just going to turn it like this. So it's a little bit more than 1 inch. Let me measure it just to make sure. And nope, it's right at 1 inch. So I've got my little right angle here. I'm going to grab my chain nose pliers, and right here in the little bend of the wire, I'm going to place my chain nose pliers just a little ways down because I don't want a huge loop. And then I am going to bring this wire, the bent over wire, over my pliers. And as I do that, I'm going to turn my hand and bring the wire under so I create a loop, just like this. Let's get you in just a little closer. And now we're going to grab a pair of flat nose pliers, and I'm just going to arrange this wire so that it is the same angle as my flat nose pliers, and then I'm going to switch my hand here. So you can see that it's with the flat nose pliers, the same basic angle. And then I'm going to grab a pair of chain nose pliers, and I'm going to begin to turn this wire. And I'm going to turn it 2 full times. So that's 1. And I'm just turning it as neatly as I can, and that's 2. Then I'm going to get my wire flush cutters, and I'm going to cut this really close, and then I'm going to use my little Xeron crimping pliers and just kind of squish that end in so it's nice and flush, just like that. Now I'm going to back off just a tiny bit, and we're going to pick up a 6mm bicone, and then a spacer bead, and then a 6mm bicone. Come here. And a spacer bead, and then a 4mm bicone, and slide it down the wire to the end here. Now we're going to get our round nose pliers, and we're going to place them right at the end of this 4mm round bead, just like this. And then we're going to bend the long length of wire over the plier, just like this. Then we're going to turn our plier vertical into the bend of the wire, like this. bring the wire over the top of the plier. As you do that, turn your wrist so that the plier is now horizontal to your bead mat instead of vertical, and bring the excess wire underneath the loop, just like this. Then I'm going to grab a pair of flat nose pliers, and I'm going to kind of straighten out my loop. And then you can see I have a little space between my 4mm and my wire. So I'm going to go around that once, like this. And then I'm going to bring the wire up over the bead and go around, just wrapping it around the 4mm round, and then I'm going to wrap it around the bicone, and then around the 4mm round, up around the bicone, and then end right where I did my wrap under my original loop, just like that. Now, I have a little bit of excess room here, so I'm just turning that bottom, and I'm going to make sure my loops are the same direction. So I'm going to turn the top loop the same direction as the bottom loop, like this, and then I'm going to grab my flat nose pliers, hold on to my loop again, and just wrap this excess wire around the first wrap. The wire is getting resistant here, so I'm just going to wrap it around once because it's being pretty resistant. And then I'm going to grab my flush cutters and cut that close, and then grab my little crimping pliers and squish that in. And then I'm just going to make sure my loops are the same again by putting 2 pliers on it and turning them the same direction. And that's what I have. Now we're going to make a dangle for the bottom. So we're going to pick up a 6mm bicone and a head pin. On your head pin, first put on that head pin has a really prominent bottom here. Let me see if I can find, I don't think I put it out anymore. I'm just going to have to deal with it. Sometimes these head pins really stick out, and I might just trim that down a little bit, but I'll take care of that in a minute. So I'm going to drop a 3mm round and then a 6mm bicone on here. The end of this is cut funny too. These are not good head pins. Blah. Alright, I'm going to drop that down. And then I am going to grab my flat nose pliers, and I'm just going to bend this over just a little bit above that bicone. Bend it over. And then I am going to cut this down just slightly because it's a little bit long. I don't want a huge loop. And then grab my round nose pliers and place this at the very end of my wire here and begin to turn as far as I can. Take my plier out, turn my plier over, and begin to turn again. Until I have a loop. And you can see I adjusted where I was putting my pliers on because I saw that I had a little excess wire there. So you can kind of adjust that as you're doing it if you're just paying attention. I'm going to cut this little head pin in a little bit, and then I'll later take my file and make sure it's not sharp. But I'm going to cut it down just a little bit. And then I can file it a little bit and make sure it's not sharp. But that way I don't have this big old blob at the end of my ear wire. And this one was kind of like that too. So I'll fix this one too. And then I'll just file it gently and make sure that, because after you cut them, they're very sharp. So I will round that down. And then I'm going to open this component I just made. Just find the side that's open, lift it, and pop it onto your earring and close it. Let's see. Now that loop is a little bit bigger than the other one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to doctor it up. I cheat when I do things. Sorry. You know, I just do because I'm not perfect. So sometimes I have to cheat. So I've opened that up. I'm going to cut the end down just a little bit. And then I'm going to put my pliers back in here. I'm going to close it. And now that little loop is smaller. So I just doctored it up a little bit. Now I'm going to open and put it on here. Now they pretty much match. You're not going to have it exactly the same. And I see what I did too. I put it on the wrong end. So this is fun, isn't it, guys? Jeez, Gina. All right, let's put it down here and just, you know, fix it. Oh my goodness. All right, I'm going to close this. There we go. Now they're the same. I put it on the end that was wrapped and, you know, I guess it could work on either end, but the way I did the first one, so my ear wire, this loop is too small to go over that way, so I'm going to slide it on this way. If you have a regular ear wire, just open the loop and slide this down and then close it. And make sure that they dangle nice. And now I have a jewelry set, and I'll show you what it looks like. Then I'm going to make some bigger icicles so that we can make ornaments too. And that will be my next video. But this one, that's what that looks like, and I think it turned out really pretty. Now, of course, if you don't want your earrings this long, you can just use one 6mm bicone and one 4mm bicone with your spacer beads in between, and then make your dangle too. So you can shorten it down a little bit if that's just a little too dramatic for you. And you can make it longer if it's not dramatic enough. It just depends on your taste. So that's what that looks like. And I hope you liked this little project, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.